On the Twisted Minds reactions, man, I got y'all on Twisted Minds. We got Twisted Minds, the obsessed fan who murdered her idol. True crime case. I don't know what it's about, but let's get started, man. How y'all Friday going? It's Friday.
Yolanda Levar was the epitome.
Man, fuck that bitch. I didn't know this video was about her. Oh. Man, I need to go and let that bitch out.
Yolanda Saldivar was the epitome of kindness to anyone who knew her. She was a dedicated nurse who cared for the ill and even raised her brother's children like they were her own. So why would this Mother Teresa of a character end up in a Twisted Minds video? Well, it all began when she innocently started a fan club for a talented young singer, which began a downward spiral of lies, obsession, and eventually murder. Welcome to Twisted Minds. My name is James, and today we take a look at the case of Yolanda Saldivar, aka the fan club killer. Yolanda was born on September 19, 1960 in San Antonio, Texas, to parents Frank and Juanita Saldivar. She was the youngest of 8 children, who all lived together in their modest-sized home. While her mother didn't work, her father worked as the head waiter of a Mexican restaurant that can be found on the West End. Yolanda was a clever girl by all accounts and attended 3 unique elementary schools throughout the Edgewood School District. After graduating from elementary school, she enrolled at Kennedy High School before transferring to Holmes High School. She completed her high school education at McCollum High School and graduated in 1979. Sadly, she was bullied at school for being overweight, and she rarely made any friends. This could have been the reason why she changed schools so frequently in her early education, or it could have been a factor in why she couldn't make friends, as she was uprooted so often. While she was in McCollum High School, she was also a part of the ROTC, which is a program for Reserves Officers Training Corps. This is usually for people who want to join the military, so it's weird that Yolanda decided to sign up. After graduating from high school, she enrolled at the University of Texas to study nursing and was transferred to Palo Alto College to continue with her study. After graduation, she got her first job as a graduate nurse at the Medical Center Hospital. She was registered with the Texas Board of Nurse Examiners and worked at 2 hospitals. Those who worked with her described her as a dedicated health worker, earning a cool $60,000 per year. Unfortunately, she was forced to work part-time as she had adopted 3 children, one of whom was her niece. During these early years, Yolanda's life seemed pretty normal, but life was about to spiral for the kind-hearted Yolanda Saldivar. Around 1983, her employer, Dr. Faustino Gomez, took her to court for stealing over $9,000 from him and his company. Luckily for Yolanda, the case was settled out of court, which potentially saved her thousands of dollars or even jail time. Things weren't going to get any better for Yolanda anytime soon, as 2 months later, the Texas Guaranteed Student Loan Corporation acquired a Travis County Court judgment to challenge Yolanda for failing to pay back her $7,361 student loan. During this time...
Hey, what the hell about no student loan? You gotta pay them, bitch. I ain't gonna lie to you. You gotta pay them.
She had already switched jobs multiple times and was working as a nurse at St. Luke's Lutheran Hospital. This was just the beginning of Yolanda's financial problems, which were not helped by the number of times she switched jobs, similar to how she was moved from school to school in her younger years. Over the span of 4 years, she switched to 2 other hospitals. It was in her last position that she began to lose interest in healthcare and began focusing on another love, music. In fact, she began getting involved and attending many live concerts in the local area and beyond. Later, she would comment that her favorite concert of all time was Shelly Lares' concert that was held in her hometown of San Antonio. It was this event that gave her the idea to start a fan club for the artist. Unfortunately, she couldn't get permission to start the club, as Shelly's father turned down the request. This forced the music lover to look for another artist to dedicate her time and effort to, a dedication that soon turned to obsession. With that being said, it wasn't always that way. In fact, Yolanda had to be convinced by a couple of her friends to listen to singer Selena. Initially, she didn't like her and was annoyed that she was dominating the Tejano Music Awards, thinking that it was unfair that other talented artists didn't get the chance to show their talent. After giving Selena's music another try, however, she got hooked and quickly became a super fan. She bought all Selena's albums and any of the products she endorsed. Eventually, listening wasn't enough, and Yolanda decided to start a fan club for the artist. She once again began...
See, that how shit happened. motherfucker end up not like you at first, but then want to start like you.
And hounding the star's father,
Dickie.
Abraham Quintanilla Jr., who was eventually worn down and accepted after multiple requests from the obsessed woman. This was the start of the Selena fan and the beginning of the end for Selena Quintanilla.
Selena, baby.
Selena Quintanilla was born on April 16, 1971 in Lake Jackson, Texas, to parents Abraham Quintanilla Jr. and Marcela Zamora. Selena graduated from the American School of Correspondence and got enrolled at the Pacific Western University at the age of 17. She had also dropped out of regular school beforehand, as Selena's father insisted that she should leave so that she could focus on her music career and be free to travel across the country with her band. Her father was a former Mexican-American musician who formed the band Selena y los Dinos, with his daughter leading the lineup. Selena eventually married Chris Perez, who was one of her bandmates, a relationship her father didn't agree with. In retaliation, Quintanilla Jr. dropped Perez from the band. In an interview, Perez said, "I think the main reason was it kind of hurt his pride and his ego to find out that he was the last to know. And when things got tense and things were said by him, it hurt me that he was saying it. But I didn't let it get to me because I knew deep down he knew the kind of person I was." Despite not getting their father's blessing, the two got married in 1992 by eloping. This actually went in the pair's favor, and Selena's father allowed him to return to Selena y los Dinos. Selena had a short but sweet career, being praised for changing up the Tejano music style and earning Grammy Awards for her music. Ironically, while Selena grew up in a Mexican-American family and became popular through singing music in Spanish, she didn't actually speak the language growing up, as English was her first language. To combat this, she learned how to sing in Spanish and later learned to speak it fluently. This award-winning artist seemed to have everything going for her. She had a supportive family, a loving husband, a Grammy, and even a fashion boutique. But sadly, her life was about to come by the hand of a person who was apparently devoted to the star. The world was shocked and devastated at the loss of such an icon, especially considering she died at the peak of her fame. Despite the loss, her legacy lived on, with Selena becoming a role model for the Latino community. Selena was described as a down-to-earth person, despite her quick rise to fame. She had all the time in the world for her family and friends and would help them out if they asked. She was also an animal lover, with 5 dogs of her own, as well as an aquarium in the headboard of her bed and a python. On one occasion, she accidentally hit a wild rabbit with her car and paid $300 to save its life. Even though Selena Quintanilla died decades ago, her unwavering legacy still carries on. In 2017, she was initiated into the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
My bad. But if I would have hit that rabbit, I would have kept going. She had different type money. I would have hit that bitch and said, well, and kept going.
Unbelievably, 4,500 Selena fans turned up to see the star unveil, a record number for the Walk of Fame. This shows just how loved the star was, and makes her death even more tragic, as she never got the chance to show her full potential. In 2021, Spotify had streamed her music over 452 million times. For a singer who has been dead for 26 years, and died in her 20s. Those are definitely not rookie numbers. So, it's clear that Selena's music is far from
97% of Americans still don't know that if you make less than $50,000 per year, you
forgotten.
See, and you know what I'm saying? I want to say it, but I ain't gonna say it. She died, like, I think she died, like, in spite of her, like, her shit was finna really just take off. She was taking off, 1 grams and shit, but, you know, it's not my, I'm finna compare somebody, but I ain't gonna do that, because it won't be the same.
The fan club was fairly successful for its time, keeping in mind that the internet boom was yet to come. By 1993, the club had grown to around 1,500 members, and by 1995, had over 4,000 members. It quickly became the largest fan club in San Antonio, which led to the Quintanilla household being incredibly impressed with the work of Yolanda. Yolanda was held in such high regard that she was even hired to manage Selena's clothing line, known as Selena ETC. While things seemed to be going well, Yolanda's past came back to haunt her in the spring of 1995 when she was caught with her hand in the cookie jar and was proven to be taking money from the business and boutique lines. In total, she had embezzled $60,000. This led to Yolanda being fired and invited to speak with Selena after she refused to hand over the company's financial records. Now, the obsessed Yolanda, who was equally obsessed with making money, was in a fragile state of mind, to say the least. Her idol saw her as the petty thief she was and wanted nothing else to do with her. All of the trust that the Quintanilla family had given her was now completely gone, and all that was left to do was to tie up the loose ends. All the former fan club owner had left was holding financial records hostage, as without them, Selena and her brand would have issues. And so on the 31st of March at the Corpus Christi Days Inn Motel, Selena met with Yolanda in a bid to use their former relationship to get hold of the financial documents. Unfortunately, Yolanda still refused to hand over the documents, instead derailing the discussion when Yolanda dropped the bombshell that she had been sexually assaulted in Mexico and that she wasn't in the right headspace to think about the company and hand over the documents. Concerned, Selena took Yolanda to the hospital to get checked out, but as the crime happened in another country, the gynecological exam could not be done. After the hospital visit, they returned to the motel. At this point, Selena was fed up with Yolanda not giving her the financial papers and demanded she hand them over immediately. Selena snatched the documents and walked toward the door. This is when Yolanda flipped out. The disgruntled woman pulled out a .38 caliber revolver from her handbag and pointed it at Selena. Turning to see the weapon aimed at her, she tried to flee the motel room in absolute fear, but she wasn't fast enough and Yolanda shot her. The bullet ripped through her shoulder and hit an artery, fatally wounding the singer. Despite this, Selena managed to keep running, with Yolanda repeatedly calling Selena a bitch. Heading into the motel office, Selena collapsed on the floor, and reception staff called her an ambulance immediately. At 1:05 p.m., Selena was pronounced dead as a result of blood loss. The murder of Selena at the hands of her fan wasn't the first of its kind. Famously, Beatles star John Lennon was shot 5 times outside his Manhattan apartment building by a crazed fan.
I think I remember that. I don't think I remember this one. I don't know.
David Chapman.
I think when he was sitting out there waiting on them all day or some shit like that.
Nobody really knows. What makes Chapman even creepier is that he had a hit list of other celebrities, including Lennon's former bandmate Paul McCartney, as well as Elizabeth Taylor and Johnny Carson. Another similar killing involved Rebecca Schaefer, the star of an old sitcom called My Sister Sam, who was taking Hollywood by storm at the time of her murder. The 21-year-old was standing in the doorway of her Hollywood home when an obsessed fan, Robert John Bardo, who had been stalking.
Like, I don't know, bro. They just put a hole full of hate motherfuckers in the room and just, you know what I'm saying, just have some type of soft shit just go around their ass like a type of moon, just kill all their ass. I hate motherfuckers.
Shot and killed her. He had managed to find her address by hiring a private detective who traced through her vehicle records. Rebecca had actually been auditioning for The Godfather Part 3 at the time and was expecting a script to arrive. When asked what her last words were, the cold-hearted killer replied, "Why? Why?" More recently, in 2016, The Voice star Christina Grimmie lost her life at the age of 22 when a fan named Kevin Loibl attended one of her meet and greets. As Kevin stepped forward, Christina opened up her arms for a hug, and the killer took the opportunity to fire at her 5 times. Christina's brother jumped over the table and
I never heard. I heard something like that, but I ain't never heard of that. I ain't never heard this story before. Nigga, she tried to give you a hug and you shot her. What possessed niggas to do some type in front of a lot of people?
Kevin Loibl attended one of her meet and greets. As Kevin stepped forward, Christina opened up her arms for a hug, and the killer took the opportunity to fire at her 5 times. Christina's brother jumped over the table and tackled him, but the shooter managed to get away and killed himself pretty much straight after. Why did Kevin decide to kill his idol? Because he was unhealthily infatuated with the singer and scoured her social media to be completely up to date with what she was up to. He even went to great lengths to change his appearance with rapid weight loss, LASIK, teeth whitening, and hair implants so that he would be more attractive to Christina. It's actually terrifying to think that people can become so obsessed with others that they would rather kill someone if they couldn't be associated with them in one way or another.
There's a little known trick to getting started in real estate, making $1,000, $2,000, or even $10,000 a day.
Sound like bullshit.
Over the course of Throughout her career, Selena sold more than 18 million records worldwide. This led to a large percentage of the Latino community watching in anticipation to see what was going to happen to Yolanda, a so-called fan who pulled the trigger on their beloved star. Despite her fame, however, the trial was never televised, even though cameras were allowed inside the courthouse. The case was moved from San Antonio to Houston, since Selena's lawyers successfully claimed that it was not a fair trial to hold in Yolanda's hometown. The court proceedings were pretty simple, with CNN being the main news outlet to cover the case. Like any defense team, they claimed that the shooting was an accident, but Selena's legal team pointed out immediately that Yolanda, who was trained as a registered nurse, didn't try and call for help or treated her in any way until an ambulance arrived. After the evidence was given and both sides...
See, I didn't know Yolanda, I didn't know she was a nurse and all that shit before that, so... That make it 10 times worse.
The jury gave the verdict of guilty after just 3 hours of deliberation. Within 3 days, on October 26, 1995, Yolanda was sentenced to life imprisonment for first-degree murder without the possibility of parole for 30 years. This was the maximum prison sentence allowed in the state of Texas at the time. On November 22, 1995, Yolanda was transferred to the Gatesville unit, now known as the Christina Melton Crane unit. Yolanda is still serving her time behind bars at the Mountain View unit of Gatesville, where she will be eligible to have her first parole meeting on March 30th, 2025. The revolver used to kill Selena went missing during the trial, but was later found in a box of pens and other office supplies in the home of a reporter called Sandra Obele, who was present at the trial. Sandra claimed that she had no idea she had the gun. Some historical groups tried to keep the weapon for its grisly historical significance, but the authorities decided that it should be dismantled, with the pieces disposed of being dumped into Corpus Christi Bay. Since being found guilty, Yolanda has appealed her case. She first appealed back in 2000, but the request never made it to the High Court. It was then denied again on March 13, 2008, the 13th anniversary of the murder. The case of Yolanda Saldivar shows us that being devoted to others won't stop people from killing. Of course, the woman must have had some form of mental illness, but it's hard to believe that she could pull the trigger on someone she idolized. To this day, this case still rocks the affected communities, and of course the families. I can only imagine that the cocktail of obsession and anger over losing...
Twisted minds, bro. I fuck with you, bro. You certified. I'm finna start doing more videos of you. That being said, give you a thumbs up, like, subscribe, see y'all motherfuckers on that video. I got another video I gotta do, so let's ride them.